Hi, I thought I'd talk about this some stuff this week. There are quite a few things I want to talk about, and I'm trying a new experiment. I'm sitting in bed, which is more intimate, and I think I can be able to talk about things in more relaxed context and framework, and I just feel more relaxed, and I would be able to be more forthcoming and talk more than I would over there on the sitting in a chair, and I'd have to turn on the desktop and so forth. So I want to try an experiment. I want to talk for a while and something closer to the style of the way the thoughts come through my head. I've been watching, so this may seem a little bit out of order, but my videos can sometimes be out of order anyway. I want to talk about quite a few things. I want to talk about this video that I had watched. I had turned on YouTube, and I was watching Mayim Bialik's breakdown. She's had a YouTube channel for a while. The topic is near-death experiences, and it's told from a unique point of view. I respect her as she has a scientific background and so forth, and I'm immediately, when I say near-death experiences, I'm thinking people would think of the stereotype of somebody who's flaky and new agey and so forth, and that's definitely not what this was. And that I've read a lot. I've been interested in UFOs. That's something else I want to talk about in this video. I've been interested in UFOs, and so I would read a lot more about this. I guess if you want to lump it all into one category, it's like the paranormal, or as I would like to say, unexplained phenomena. As a child growing up, and I felt very much like an adult. I felt proud of myself. I don't want to say I felt like an adult. I felt proud of myself. If I look to the side, I'm scraping something off here. I felt more. I felt proud of myself when I would read these, and I was also just fascinated reading them. But I say I felt proud in the sense that this wasn't the stuff that it seemed kids in school would be interested in, and it's something like they wouldn't be at the level where I could talk with them, converse with them about. So, yes, I shaved, and I got dressed and so forth. So anyway, I want to talk about the effort I made purchasing some books on supernatural, primarily UFOs. I left behind, in that move of mine, a really stupid thing. I left behind almost my whole supernatural book collection. I remember an awful lot of books from that collection, the titles, and fortunately, and so if given enough money, I could be able to buy them back. But I've been buying some back. I began buying them back, and then it was announced in the company that I was contracted out with a temp agency. I finally was able to switch last November. This is 2024 now. It would have been the end of 2023. I was able to switch out of the supermarket job that I had. I didn't like the hours, and I didn't like the boring level of inactivity, and very low requirement in terms of intellectual thought. And the other company was going downhill, and I wouldn't be surprised if it just goes bankrupt soon. But for their sake, I won't mention their names. So I had this job since November, and then it was announced that something with the state, with the budget, where they were consolidating that department and the similar departments, the counterpart departments in other companies into one company, and which had already existed at that point. And basically, I guess they were the lowest bidding subcontractor, something like that. I mean, the new company. So I expressed an interest in going, in an interest to the temp agency about going to work at the new company that was taking over, and I'd be working. I would want to work from home because for certain reasons, I don't want to go into the actual building there. I also expressed, actually, they called me. I'd already been thinking about it, but they called me and asked if I was interested in working at the new company, and so I did express an interest, but I also didn't want to pigeonhole myself with just this company. Please consider other things too, and they seem to understand that, why I would ask about that. So I was supposed to have begun working last Monday, and it was delayed till Wednesday, delayed to begin Wednesday, and then Wednesday came around. I contacted them, and I was supposed to be getting this new computer equipment to be able to be working from home. And then they said, well, it's been delayed because I guess apparently there were a lot of people in that setup course to, like, I'll just call it like orientation. And so it's been delayed until next week. And at this point, if it's already been delayed twice, I'm questioning what's going to happen. So I contacted them on Friday and yesterday, and seems like a whole couple of days by now. But anyway, I contacted them and said that I'd like an update, some kind of update. How is it going? And I don't remember getting a reply back. I don't remember one because I guess I was also focused on contacting another temp agency, and I sent them my updated resume, and I got a reply back, thank you, and then they will check in on it. And I'm concerned. I checked my bank account this morning. It's a weird thing to do on Shabbat, but Saturday. You're not supposed to be concerned about. There are about 13 things in the Talmud that define what work is. It says in the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, that you shall not do work on Shabbat. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it special and so forth. But the Talmud, in part of the Talmud, it defines what constitutes work, and there are 13 different things. Why 13? Maybe it's one more than 12. Some mystical reason why. Usually is a mystical reason for these things. I mean, the numbers and numerology and so forth. I mean, some numerological reasoning behind it. There are 13, as I've heard, there are 13 different things you're not supposed to do on Shabbat, one of which is sewing. Another is, I think, destroying so as to build. And another one is writing. In fact, it's defined like what is writing, and I think it's making more than one letter, something like that. So there's sewing, there's destroying so as to build, and there's writing, and there's walking a long distance. That's why the Dead Sea Scrolls, that community, there was a historian, I don't remember who exactly, but he said they wouldn't eat. He talked about this community as not eating Friday evenings and or Friday afternoon, something like that. And it was a great testament to their adherence adherence, not adherence. That's me putting words into a great demonstration of their religious observance, something like that. And it was an odd thing to say until Simka Jacobovici, who's an archaeologist, an entertaining archaeologist. He has several documentaries, uncovered or talked about. He interviewed somebody who had this proposal that, well, you're not supposed to travel outside your community or travel a distance on Shabbat. However, you are also required to have. I mean, one of the commandments is as I remember, you leave the bathroom area a good distance away. You plant it a good distance away from the community, from the from the clean temple, and not temple, but like the clean religious area where you're doing your services. So he reasoned that because you can't travel that distance, and because you would have to travel that distance if you have to eat and then afterwards go to the bathroom, and you have to travel a distance in order to go to the bathroom in the outskirts of the community, that you don't eat, so you wouldn't have to go to the bathroom during the Sabbath. That does make a lot of sense. And it's an undertaking to be able to do. So that explains why this historian would admire it. Apparently, them not eating at that point, that day or that evening or whatever, so that the following day they wouldn't have to travel. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so going back to the 13 things you can't do. There's travel. There's spending money. There's writing, travel, spending money, writing, destroying so as to build, sowing, and other things probably related. Causing a spark. That's specifically written about in the Torah. That's 6, and there would be 7 more I'm not thinking of at the moment. Probably dealing with repairing or building. I'm guessing a reference back to Elohim in Genesis chapter 1, having done these creative acts, performed these creative acts, and then ceasing from work. And that the Sabbath is recognizing that 7th day when Elohim ceased from creative work. So it is tied in with the 5 books of Moses. So anyway, where was I going with that? So a strange thing to say on Shabbat. But anyway, so I'm hoping that next week, I'm really hoping that something comes through. I haven't really been doing, looking for another job. I've just been doing things to reinvigorate myself. I've gotten those books. Oh yeah, so I got those UFO books, and to that the ones that I had in my collection, as close as possible I could find to the copies, the editions that I had before. And it really bothers me that one of them was the Walton Experience, and there's a new edition of it, newer edition of it, called Fire in the Sky, which is the title of the movie. They turned the book, or they turned his experience, which he had an experience, presumably, I mean, so claim, allegedly, and then he writes a book called The Walton Experience, and then some decades later, they create a movie called Fire in the Sky, which is far different from what he claimed happened. And he's even said that. He's wanted to make, put together funds to make a movie that's more accurate to what happened, what he claims happened. Anyway, it bothers me that I had just begun to buy some of these books, and I'll keep them, of course, but my bank account is down to like about $400 now total, and I really need something now. The temp agency that I'm with, I just read and checked with a little bit more online research that they have something called benching, where if you don't get put on an assignment, they still pay you while you're, I guess, benched. But they will do what they can to get you into a job that's paying. I I I'd rather just be employed and working and at a job, because I don't like handouts. I don't like welfare and so forth. And it's, I guess, the benching thing. If there is truth to it, I mean, if I actually get it, then I am in a spot where I really need it. And I did put in hard work, and I put in honest work, and I'm honest just in general about reporting the times that I work, so forth. But I would really need it. $400, that's it. Like that would cover, I don't know about expenses. I like the idea of going bankrupt and so forth. I'm alone. I don't have anybody else with me. I don't know who would be able to financially help me out or not. This is still sudden. And that's partly why I wanted to make this video. I wanted to talk about that. And seems really nice. I was watching, to tie in with that video about near-death experiences, I was just watching a moment ago. It's a really good video. It's hosted by Maya Bialik, and she's somebody who, she probably has, I know she has her own life and so forth, and she has hardships and ups and downs and so forth. But it's been a real struggle myself. I mean, I feel like I could have, if I had the proper resources, I could have made more, I could have achieved more in life. There's a, I talked about this guy before in the immediate previous videos to this one. I went dressed up as Samantha to a workplace because two of the two of the former colleagues wanted to see me, and I was happy to do it. I mean, it's a type of workplace where that kind of thing is accepted, so I felt okay about it, and it was a chance to be able to practice. Gives me an opportunity to improve, and I'm happy that I did apparently really improve, because they thought they were impressed. They were really impressed, and I'm still working at it. I have this I showed you before, but it is definitely a 64. See right there, 64-ounce bottle, and this is filled with some water. Was filled some water with green tea powder mixed in, and I shake it up. And I've been going less on the Gatorade Zero. The reason why I went with Gatorade Zero is I felt faint suddenly at the workplace about maybe 3 weeks ago, something like that. And I went to the hospital, and there's a looming medical bill and an ambulance bill. Anyway, I contacted the ambulance and said, "Look, I can't pay this. I have." At the time, I didn't know how much, but I know I have almost $400 to my name, and look. This is the cost was marked down. It's like 4,000. It's like $1,200, or 12,000, something like that. And then that's not even the medical bill. Just to be taken to the hospital, to lie down and be told that I have slightly low sodium level, and that's probably why I felt kind of drained of energy suddenly and sleepy. I felt like lying on the floor, which I did after a while. Like I couldn't sit up. All that for that. So somebody at the hospital, I was in the hallway lying in bed, and they were talking about having me stay overnight, be transferred to some place to stay overnight. And then they decided, no, no, he doesn't need it. And one of the staff people, I don't want to say exactly a nurse because who knows, they're medical technicians, and who I don't want to mislabel. So I'll just say staff person advised me drink Gatorade, and she may have even said Gatorade Zero, or maybe it was a coworker when I talked with the coworker, when the coworker picked me up and drove me back so I can get my car, and I actually drove home. I was okay. I think they were pumping me with salt, saline content or something. So I felt okay, and I was able to drive home. And I was, when in moments like that, not just those precise medical reasons, but just in general, I think to myself, and I'm driving, I think to myself, okay, it's as if I'm drunk, sort of. Like I put an extra, I think of my mom, actually. I mean, I think of my mom doing this. She'd probably think to herself the same thing. I do the same strategy. I know I haven't imbibed any alcohol, but I am in a weird mental frame of mind. I've just gotten out of the hospital. I'm going to be very careful. Drive smoothly, but just be aware and be extra attentive. That's probably how my mom would call it. She's probably, I've forgotten, but she's probably told me, just be careful. This has just happened or whatever. Just be extra careful. She was very cautious person, and sometimes I think she was overly cautious sometimes. But anyway, yeah, comb. I wanted to get to recording this video, so I haven't entirely. I shaved, but I didn't entirely. Forgive me if there's any weird thing about my face. Anyway, so this looming medical bill, and then the hospital bill, the ambulance bill, and then in the hospital bill, and so forth. And I think of like Mayim Bialik, and I think, so this guy. Well, I'll talk about Mayim Bialik now, and then I'll get to the guy. But I think of other people who, like Madonna and celebrities and so forth, who seem to have had it. Not even beyond those people, just like the people I went to temple with, synagogue with, and they were in wealthier areas. And having grown up with a mom who heard voices, and I think she suffered from schizoaffective disorder. That's just my purely just my guess, based on symptoms I observed, and asking therapists, and doing my own research. It's the closest I've come to. I guess schizoaffective disorder can take on different forms and manifest almost depending on the person. But she was a single mom, and I didn't have much money to grow up with. I wasn't used to having a lot of money and a lot of resources, so there was many times a disconnect, and I feel like I could have made more. I had the potential to be able to make more of myself, and so like Steven Spielberg and Mayim Bialik, and even the other people at Temple. So going back to that guy, I went to the workplace, and she reminded me of one of her friends who's in theater and stage, and he does oddly makeovers for men and women, and he's in publishing arena and so forth. I don't know what else, but he seemed like somebody, because he's interested in film, and he seemed like somebody I would actually be interested in meeting. It would be worthwhile meeting for both of us, maybe for both of us, certainly for me. And I remember the last time, so it would have been in October, last time I was there, and October of, not last year, but October, because I went to a Halloween party. I'm bearing my soul, I guess. A little bit of history. I was working at this place as a clerk, and through a temp agency, and then I got that was up. That was where I was during COVID. So I was employed during that whole COVID experience. So I was never working from home or out of work or whatever. Things just shifted, but I stayed working. It was just very nice. I still got a paycheck. Uh, so I was working through that, and then February 14th, 2022, I started a new job, and so I left that one because I couldn't really go any further. I was working with a temp agency because of some stupid thing with the civil service exam that I had taken. I had credential for. They weren't looking for that. They were looking for the one. I took the one with office assistant one with keyboarding, and they weren't looking for that. They were just looking for office assistant one, and it was some stupid thing that technically I didn't have the one that they were looking for. And I've heard about the waiver thing where they're wavering. They're so desperate for people. Apparently, from what I've heard, government agencies are so desperate for good workers like myself to work, that they will waiver that requirement about civil service exam. So I'd like to go back to where I was working there. So it was a mental health facility. So I left there. I was working at the place that I mentioned earlier in the video. They were going down. I don't know. Okay, I'm not mentioning who they are, so I guess I'm free to say this. They were going downhill in terms of sales, so they had to cut my hours, and so I got a second job at the supermarket, and so I was really eager. I was about 6 months into it, so I guess I was around June or July, something like that. That sticks in my mind, like July 2022. So I was working both jobs. There goes my Sunday evenings, and so forth. So some weekday evenings. So until 8 o'clock, I start work at. I would get up at like 5:30 in the morning, and I'd drive over to my first job at 6:30, and get there at 7, and then I'd leave that job at 11, and then I'd come home and I'd quickly literally eat a snack, and then start getting dressed to be somewhere else at my second job at the supermarket at usually 3 o'clock until 8 o'clock in the evening, and it screws up because even eating like a meal at supper time, 8 o'clock, I just would start snacking at 8 o'clock, and that's usually later than what's recommended for the human body to consume food, big meal, something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if it screwed up my my metabolism, my circadian rhythm or bodily cycle. Anyway, I'm glad that I got out of that. But anyway, the earlier job where I was the clerk, I was really good at my job, and they liked me and so forth. But anyway, so that was, I'm trying to remember. So anyway, so yeah, while I was at these other two jobs, I was still in contact with one of the therapists there, and I would go meet her, and because I didn't, there was something about I was trying to get along with another coworker, and she was harsh or more strict, I'd say. But after a while, I think she mellowed. I think when she realized that quite the opposite, I do have a sharp memory, and I am really good at my work and take pride and so forth. And I think she's watching this, or if somebody knows who she is, I think I'd like to say I suspect that she does regret it, and I think she would say quite the opposite about me. But anyway, during lunchtime or whatever, during breaks, I would go into this other therapist's office and just talk, and she understood, and I was at least a friend, understanding, compassionate friend I could talk with. So when I left that job, I started cross dressing. I mentioned that in text, and she was open to it. I mean, she was curious, and she was startled, and I hope that it seems that she has learned about what motivates me as a cross-dresser. I can't speak for all cross-dressers, but what motivates me, and I like that. She's learning more because I imagine this age of transgender and people, this was, I don't want to reveal, the clients are younger than I am. So I mean at a young age, I'll just say. So in this age of people questioning their identities and transgender and so forth, I figured it would also be worthwhile for her to understand that better so that she could relate to them. And I I haven't taken any hormones, and I don't want to do anything to my body, like permanent to my body. There's a YouTuber who has said he's concerned because of some other thing. You know, he's concerned about somebody else doing something permanent, and so he said in his videos he doesn't do anything that he would regret later on, and that would also be permanent, that can't be changed, you know, irrevocably altered and can't be changed. So that's good advice. The most I've thought about is having my eyebrows shaped into a more feminine shape, and that's it. I think the rest of it would be too hard. Oh, and also using IPL to on my face and on my hand, you know, on my body, to reduce the hair growth. But even that, and this is, I talk about this on my other channel, Samantha Bahar, Bahar. But I'll just mention here that even the IPL, the home device that they have, it's a little bit expensive. It's like several $100s or a couple $100s or something. But that reduces the hair growth, the frequency of hair growth. But even that, if you don't use it on a regular basis, the hair grows back. So really, that's you get the benefit of just if you don't like shaving over and over and over. I remember I would get these horrible red marks and so forth. Well, not horrible, but just like, well, yeah, sometimes horrible red marks. And I'd go into school and so forth, and sometimes it doesn't look good. And my mom would say, "Oh, gee, why did you do that to your face?" and so forth. And I didn't know about shaving. I didn't have a husband, father, my mom's husband. I didn't have a father around, and so I just had to learn on my own. But anyway, so this would have the benefit of reducing the number of times I have to shave, and I think many men just don't like to shave in general, or shave as often, because it does a number on the face, it does a number on the skin, just like makeup probably does a number on the skin. So many times doing it, and it's nice that this IPL, or IPLs in general, wouldn't screw up the face. In fact, it would reduce the frequency of hair. As long as you keep doing it, it would reduce the frequency of hair growth. And also, I looked up and saw that it would actually might reduce wrinkles and clean up the face. It would clean up acne and so forth, which is really nice. So I don't plan to get my ears pierced. I'm using clip-ons, and then I have adapters, like adapter clip-ons, where I have the earring. It holds the earring, plus it clips on. Anyway, that's all in my other channel. So yeah. So anyway, so I go in. I had gone back now, the Halloween of like 2022 or 2021, something like that. I had not been working at that job for a while. However, I remember around that time, they showed an interest in me going back for a visit, and could I dress up as Samantha? And I did. And so it was comfortable. It was really nice, because it was weird going back, because I had been dressed, in my normal self, and go back dressed, as Samantha was kind